Are you the kid keeps to himself playing music or?
Yeah, I was more the kid keeping to himself, playing music, and yeah. I think one of my big influences in terms of how you express things in music was Gustav Mahler.
Gustav Mahler?
Yeah, and he wrote giant symphonies, some of which are like nearly 2 hours long, and he had this idea of that a symphony should contain the world, and that it contains the world of emotions and the world of expression. So like happiness means nothing without sadness, and you need to have all these different emotions to make each other meaningful. And so that's really kind of what a big part of what I try to do in my music. So I try to go on a journey through emotions. So sometimes I might even be trying to express two emotions or more at the same time, but those emotions develop and change and become their opposite, and stuff like that. So I'm always trying to. I think at the end of the day, music and any art is really about emotion, much more than concepts or like philosophical ideas. The philosophical ideas are there to help you express emotions. Well, I think that certainly in the 20th century, in the classical music world, there was some composers went too far the other way. They lost sight of that emotional aspect of the music, and it became a bit too just focused on the concepts and the philosophy rather than what you're trying to express. Because when atonal music first happened, I mean, like the kind of official first atonal piece is one of Schoenberg's string quartets, and he's like a really hyper romantic composer before atonality. He's really hyper romantic, hyper expressionist, trying to really express all these deep emotions like deep joy and deep sadness and ugliness and beauty and all this kind of stuff. And atonality comes out of the need to express particular kinds of emotions that you couldn't do within the bounds of tonality. And so this philosophy was born out of trying to express an emotion or a set of emotions. Later on it became more like just a kind of like a mathematical game where when I'm writing music, when I'm making a composition, I guess, I use two approaches. I have highly structured and organised music. So, for example, I'm working on this 8-channel acousmatic piece for a performance in Liverpool when I get back there. So that's going to be performed essentially by a CD player or whatever it is. So a computer or a CD player can do an exact reproduction of every little nuance that you gave it to start with. But if you have human players, well, they can't. The humans are imperfect. So I kind of take the opposite approach. So I'm very interested in improvisation, and I run along with a group of other people in Liverpool. We run a free improvisation organisation called Fracture. And we put on a lot of free improvisation events and stuff like that. And what I like about that is So again, going back to the classical world, like the composers in like the late 19th century or in the 20th century writing incredibly complex music, but you had to be like near like a virtuoso to play it. So you had to have a lot of musical education, you had to be able to get all the lessons to go with it, afford expensive instruments, and it's very elitist in that sense. The thing about improvisation for me is the democratization that comes with it. But then, how do you write a composition which is an improvisation as well? So like I'm interested in different ways that you can try and control the result of what people play by relying on their imperfections. So for example, if you got like just a random example that's just popped into my head, if you got a load of people with earplugs in, so they couldn't hear what everyone else is playing, and you got them all to tap out a beat like that, and you say, I want you to tap at 110 beats per minute. Well, everyone is going to have a vague idea of what that is, but it's all going to be slightly different. So what you're going to get is this kind of cloud of beats, all these different beat patterns interfering with each other and creating this kind of bigger texture, rather than just this repeated beat. And so there you can use people's imperfections to create a particular kind of texture. So I'm interested in that kind of thing as well, like being very imprecise in in the instructions that you give to performers, because it makes it much more democratic. Anyone, even a non-musician, can play the music. But then you can still control the sound by thinking about how people's imperfections are going to end up in the musical result.